Namaste, it's my birthday week and I thought I need to do something differently this time and maybe honor the journey and the people who've been a part of my making. So today's video is all about that. Here's something that you might not know about me. You've all definitely seen me speak about socio-emotional skills, seen me work with leaders, communities and organizations. But what if I told you that what truly fuels everything that I do today, the work with Compass, RISE, the Tall Elephant, my work with the United Nations, is deeply rooted in something much more personal. Today, on my birthday, I want to take you behind the scenes and share with you the untold story of where it all began. The story of my beginning, the journey from self-doubt to self-belief, and the universal truth that I have learned along the way. When you show up with the right intent, the universe will take you places. Come, let me show you my world from the beginning to now. This right here, this is my parents, their wedding invitation. They got married on the 26th of February 1986 and exactly a year later, on the 24th of July 1987, I came into this world. I don't have a picture of me as a newborn, but let me tell you a little story here. For the first 6 months of my life, I didn't have a new dress. My parents couldn't afford it. When they finally got me a new dress, that's when my first photograph was taken. A 6-month-old Kripalini in a brand new dress. And while it was a small moment, it meant the world to them. This is where my journey started, from humble beginnings, from a place where not everything was perfect, but everything was deeply loved. As a child, my world was a little bit like a puzzle. Every year I grew older, I started to experience life differently, I suppose. I loved people around me to an extent that for my second year birthday, I'd invited a bunch of street friends home and my parents were surprised, or let's say shocked, seeing these strangers walking in with gifts. I've been a girl of communities, people all my life. But I have to be honest, Bangalore was super boring for me. But then there was my second home, Chikmalapur, my cousin Deepaka's house. That's where I truly felt at peace, where I felt seen, heard, and more importantly, where I felt like I belonged. These are my third-year pictures, the best ones to this day. Look at my smile in these pictures. That smile was not about the world outside. It was about me, finally finding a space where I could just be myself. With my cousins and my family, I was accepted fully and loved immensely. That was where my heart was truly at home. By the way, this rabbit of Deepaka's is my first experience of a pet. My heart melts when I see a 4-legged soul. How cute are they? But then there was school. We have to speak about this episode. I went to an ICSE school, a very prestigious school of those days. And I was one of the very few students from humble beginnings. I was surrounded by kids whose families had more money, more access, and more opportunities. And all I had was my will to probably fit in, my need to be seen and heard a little. But I wasn't. At that school, I felt like I was constantly being corrected, constantly reminded that I wasn't enough, that I didn't belong there. The teachers were always telling my parents that I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't good enough. I had to get fit into that cookie cutter. And those parent-teachers meetings, they were a nightmare. My parents would sit there not understanding what the teachers were saying. They spoke in English and my parents didn't know how to respond in English. And then I would sit there in the back feeling like a failure, not only because of what they were saying about me, but because I couldn't help them understand what was happening. There were times after those meetings when my dad would scream at my mom, blaming her, blaming the situation while heading back home in our TVS or Chetak. And I sat there in the middle of it all, wondering, why wasn't I good enough? The last straw was the episode of shame I went through at that school for no mistake of mine. It felt like nothing I did was ever going to be good enough, and it left a deep scar in my heart. But instead of letting that shame break me, it actually became the foundation a decade later. It pushed me to find my strength and purpose, which ultimately led me to do my work in socio-emotional learning after suffering for more than a decade into adulthood too. It's why I do the work that I do today. By the way, in my TEDx talk, I in fact have shared more about this experience and how an emotion like shame can shape us. Finally, by my high school, everything started to change when my parents decided to send me to a newer school, a state syllabus school, one that wasn't all that fancy, but one where I could finally just breathe. It was difficult to get a seat here, but my dad, he didn't give up. He stood outside the principal's office waiting, asking for a chance for me to prove myself. He waited there tirelessly until the principal, Sister Thelma, finally said, "Okay, she has a seat." I was accepted at Carmel Convent High School in Bangalore, and that's when everything changed for me. It wasn't just about school anymore. It was about learning to belong. Finally, I was in a place where I wasn't being told that I was wrong, but where I was encouraged just to be. I found my first award at Carmel Convent High School, and the award was the Best Endeavour Award. Not for being the best, not for winning something, but I was given an award just for trying, for showing up. It was the first time anyone had seen my effort, not just my grades or my results. And I still keep that award close to my heart because it reminds me that it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up every single day. From there, I moved to Christ Junior College, where I went on to study my 11th and 12th grades called PUC. It was here that I really began to discover who I was. I took on leadership roles in the Eco Club, the Language Club, and even became the cultural head. For the first time in my life, I realized that I could make a difference. I could lead. I wasn't just that tiny, shy little kid trying to fit in. I was now growing my wings. The one trying to create opportunities for others to fit in. Then came PES University, where I pursued computer science engineering. Now here's something special that you need to know. I think I was the only person there with just an engineering degree to be hired as a faculty member at PES. I wasn't just a student anymore. I was teaching others too from the same college I graduated. My very first job. And I can't tell you how proud I am of that. I taught engineering subjects, but I also taught life skills, how to speak, how to communicate, how to lead. I owe so much of who I am today to those years, and I owe a lot of that to the mentors that I had along the way. I should definitely mention Professor Ajoy Kumar, the COO, and Dr. J. Surya Prasad, the principal then. These two men believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. They took me under their wing and they taught me everything I know about public relations, teaching, and leadership. But here's the most important thing. Yes, I've been through good times and bad times, a lot of bad times. I've faced my share of struggles. But today, I choose to look back with gratitude. All of those moments, those years of challenges and growth during my upbringing, during my degree, or after that, shaped me into the person that I am today. But there's something else that made me different, something that no one else could replicate for me. You see, there were people who were always part of my life because of my parents and who shaped how I see the world. Sharif uncle, Pari uncle, and Nelson uncle. These were friends of my father, and for me, they were more like family. They weren't just there to celebrate with us, they showed me a different way to look at the world. A way that transcended religion, boundaries, or divisions. As a child, I'll tell you, up to 8th grade, I didn't even know what my religion was because Eid was celebrated at Bari uncle's house, Christmas at Nelson uncle's house, and Varmalakshmi at my own home. All families used to celebrate this together. I didn't know the difference between religions because for me, they were all family. This upbringing made me see the world through a lens of shared humanity, of coming together no matter where we are from, no matter who we pray to. And today, as I reflect on everything that I've done, RISE, the Tall Elephant, LDPs, UN work, NSR Cell, everything that I've built along the way, every project that I take on is deeply rooted in the values that I've learned from these experiences. Although it's 65 countries that I've worked with, I strongly root myself into my home and always remember that I am the daughter of a BMTC bus conductor and a super professional woman that I've seen in my life. If you've ever been part of any of my projects, I hope you feel that connection to these values. Every day, I live by this simple truth. When you show up with the right intent, the universe will conspire to guide you. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always knowing where you're going. It's about showing up, putting in the effort and trusting that the universe will take you where you need to be. Today, I am here in front of all of you with a heart full of gratitude, and I'm proud of everything that I've built with all people and all of people's support. From humble beginnings to being seen and heard, from struggling to thriving, I think I am a living proof that with the right intent, you can actually move mountains. Thank you for being a part of my journey. If there is one thing you can take back from here, it is this. If you have the right intent, universe will conspire for your good. Keep putting in your effort. By the way, if you didn't know it yet, I envision to touch 1 million lives by 2030. Do keep following to know about the journey and to continue your learning along. Onwards and upwards, my people. Let's do this.